Welcome back to a very festive episode of Coffee and Wrestling, a wrestling podcast with your hosts, Jamie and Mark.
And this week, we will be covering the finals in the Continental Classic between Jon Moxley, Swerve Strickland, and Jay White, and Bryan Danielson and Eddie Kingston. I can't even start talking about that yet. As well as we'll be going over a couple of our kind of favorite high points in professional wrestling this year. It's not, I know everybody.
All good, you know.
Yeah, everybody's got their like top 5, top 10, top 15. I've read 1,000 different lists like that. I don't really want to worry about that. It's just matches that we watched that we look back and went, oh man, I really remember how emotional that match was or how good that match was. I just wanted to have things that kind of resonated with us as wrestling fans. So just
just all
points.
good things to, exactly, high points of the year.
No brand loyalty, AEW, WWE. I ended up having 4 and 4 just because that's just how it played out.
It just worked out how it worked out. But we weren't trying to be gender specific. We weren't trying to be brand specific,
just shit that tickled our fancy.
Whatever we both liked. We didn't go over it until we had locked in what we wanted to do, and that's why we didn't want to do top 10, top 5. We just had top whatever. So we're just going to go over that. But first, again, just can't get enough. Continental Classic has just been so much fun every week.
I'm gonna be so sad when it's over.
Oh my god!
I said that
Dynamite Rampage.
I said that a few weeks ago.
It's been so fun with it.
I'm so excited to see this come to a conclusion because it's been very exciting. Short of a couple of matches I disagree with the outcomes of, I have not had a single complaint about any of the matches in the Continental Classic. Mm-hmm. And I'm very sad that this is going to be the end of AEW's probably high point in 2023. I think after a year of controversy and a year of just injuries and dealing with very difficult circumstances
backstage issues
for a company that is as young as they are.
Sure.
I really think they were able to kind of finish out 2023 in a high point to get away from the drama and the BS and the whatever, the social media, whatever you want to call it.
This was all around just great.
It really has been. It's been able to set up a lot of stories. And a lot of people were complaining, oh, it's just, matches to have matches. And you're right. Like I got to give whoever complains about that, you're right. It is just matches to have matches. But, I mean, think of it this way. When you have a UFC tournament, when you have you go back to when they were like just straight up elimination tournaments. 2 guys go in, 1 guy leaves, and he advances into, the next round.
Yeah.
It was just a random bunch of individuals. There was no storyline. It was just dudes fighting dudes to say I'm better than that dude.
Yeah, I'm okay with that personally.
And this is exactly what it is. And it's been nice because they've been able to flourish it into more than just that.
Yeah.
So I've really enjoyed this. I'm gonna be very sad when the Continental Classic is over.
It's really fun because everybody gets to fight everybody, obviously, but the point system is great.
A lot of different styles.
Yeah, exactly. But the point system is great so that there's not just a fluke win and you somehow end up with the title. Like you really have to.
You got to win.
To fight so hard every time that you go out there. You have to win.
Because you got 20 minutes to get it done. You can tie, but then the most you can get is,
doesn't help you out,
not even as much as 2 wins.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't help you out in the long run.
No.
This whole entire tournament only had 1 draw, which I think was fantastic.
I could that was one of my points of contention, but we'll get to that, I guess, or we might not. Who knows? Who knows? We forget how we half the shit we do in this podcast halfway through it. So this week we rounded off the regularly scheduled matches, which was a total of 6, 3 for the gold, 3 for the blue. Again, we saw our first tie with Claudio and Bryan Danielson, which I thought was good. I feel like they could have put that tie with Jay White and Jon Moxley. I'm not even going to complain about it. The matches were great. I could sit here and whine and complain about the actual details of everything.
And that's not what the wrestling community's for.
Yeah, if everything went the way I thought it would go, how boring everything would be. You know what I mean?
I liked it for the pure fact that it didn't make either guy look bad. Both were great. Both didn't get a one-up technically on the other, even though Bryan did advance and Claudio didn't. I think that was good for the BCC, but that was the only draw of the entire Continental Classic.
I was very surprised Jay White got the win over Jon Moxley.
As was I.
I was really hoping they were going to lean into that Swerve Strickland loss against Jon Moxley, so that once So if John Moxley, and that's what I'm saying, where the draw comes in. I wish they would have done a draw with Jay White and John Moxley, so that Swerve and John Moxley could have that again, that one-on-one again.
Yeah, which they needed because their first matchup.
Right. But now you
not happy with the outcome of that.
But now you have Jay White interjected again, which, I mean, I'm not complaining that Jay White's in contention for it.
Right.
By any means. It's not,
Gotta feel like there's something there, and there's a reason why they wanted Jay White to advance into that as well.
I hope so.
You know what I mean?
I hope
Fourth
so.
wall down.
I mean, maybe this could be Jay White takes it over and he ends up beating Mox and Swerve, and both of them are even mad at each other because
they got too distracted and hung up on each other.
Right.
It ended up
classic
going to
angry
Jay.
wrestler. Although I did notice when Jay White beat John Moxley, part of the reason was Mox was holding his knee. So I don't know if they're going to play into like an injury going into this triple threat between them, or what they're going to do. I mean, it would make sense so that it kind of gives John Moxley a little bit of a crutch to lean on, so that it's like, oh, well, that's why he lost. He had
of course.
An injured knee.
Of course.
But then over on the blue, we had, again, Claudio and Brian going to the time limit draw. Daniel Garcia ends up defeating Brody King.
I think that was for me the highlight of the week.
100%.
Continental Classic wise.
And we've always said we are biased to large tattooed hardcore guys.
Huge fan of Brody, but honest to God, the pop you and I both had when Daniel won, I was so excited.
Good for him.
The crowd was so excited. They were really there was a lot of signs for him, and they were popping for Daniel Garcia.
Yeah, the crowd was like on Daniel Garcia's side. I don't know if it was
for a Texas crowd.
I don't know if he has like some ties to the San Antonio or where they were.
I think people just
really,
really, really love Daniel Garcia, and I can see why his story's so interesting. But him beating Brody, like, that's huge, even though he didn't win another match in this entire Continental Classic. I think that's was really important
dude to
to
win.
His story.
That's a big dude to win
knocked
over.
Brody out. Yeah, for sure.
And we also saw shades of that original Daniel Garcia.
Yes, Red Death.
Red Death when he first came to the AEW scene.
And Brody was yelling that at him, which was interesting.
Yeah, like we actually saw that fierceness. He was getting his ass whooped. Them chops. Oh my God, those chops.
Oh, those were
Daniel was
so bad.
He was trying to lay down some chops, and it was like, just wasn't doing it. And Brody would just destroy that poor kid. But you could see it, like I kept making the joke, he was hulking out, when the wrestler just doesn't, he no-sells and he's just taking hit after hit.
Right, that's exactly
and he really
what
he was doing that, and that's what his gimmick was. It was just nonstop, like, barrage of beat the shit out of me, I'm still coming back. And I'm really kind of excited to see, maybe we're going to move that back into the professional wrestler of Daniel Garcia, but still have that flair of a sports entertainer. I feel like
Somehow
there's that good balance.
too.
I mean, everybody does it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Look at The Rock. Look at Stone Cold. Look at anybody who has a successful career. They were a very good professional wrestler, and they were a hell of a sports entertainer.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So I'm excited.
There's an art to both.
I'm excited that, he got that win. It gives him a little bit more life. And speaking of things that give you a little bit more life, Eddie motherfucking Kingston, everything thank God. And again, Daniel Garcia, had he not won against Brody King, Brody would have taken the spot over Eddie Kingston, but Eddie Kingston beats Andrade El Idolo.
And you didn't believe it was going to happen. You even said I don't think it was going to happen. It's not in the cards.
I was not. I was a non-believer. Shame on me. Shame on me.
But granted,
shame.
It was a complete underdog moment.
And what a fucking underdog! Why did I doubt the
Eddie's
biggest underdog in the entire fucking industry? Eddie fucking Kingston.
You got that right.
Oh my God! And talk about. Okay, he's the biggest underdog in all of professional wrestling, and you're going up against Bryan Danielson in a one-on-one in a Continental Classic for a chance at a title that you've already won, that you've now put up two
of your own
belts of things that you have worked your entire life to get to, against probably the most pompous individual, with good reason, in professional wrestling.
Absolutely.
Like, what a story.
Just this week, that's what went down in the Blue League.
And we're not even done. This is next week. We haven't.
Oh, but sure, but that's not even the Gold League.
Not done yet.
You haven't even gone over the Gold League. The only thing you talked about was Jay White versus John Moxley, but we also got to see Mark Briscoe versus Jay Lethal. Mm-hmm. This match was kind of like null and void, because both were out. But both of them were acting like they needed to get a job, like they needed to be signed. Like, they were hitting each other so hard, it was like they hated each other. I could not believe the energy the two of them put into this match, considering they were both out of the Continental Classic.
Well,
I loved it.
They had that interaction last week, where after both of them lost, they both saw each other in the back, and they were like, "Hey, next week it doesn't mean anything." And they kind of looked at each other and are like, "Well, do you remember when we were in Ring of Honor and we would just wrestle?
Yeah.
Like it didn't mean anything.
Fight without honor.
We just fought. We
Yep.
just did what we needed to do." And they're like, "Next week, let's just do that again." And it
Yeah,
was really
they
kind of
did.
cool because you've seen like Jay Lethal go from the top of the pile and slowly trickle down to like nothingness. And he's like starting from the bottom again. And same with Mark Briscoe.
Yeah.
He's even said, "This is my rookie year of my singles career."
Sure. So I'm
you
not
know?
upset that I didn't win this.
Right, but he's still got something to prove. And
Exactly.
They went out there and they definitely proved both of them can still go.
Absolutely.
Mark Briscoe gets the win, but my God, like I can't
We won for getting to watch
you
it.
have two new underdogs that already have a fan base.
Absolutely.
And not that they're underdogs, but you know what I mean. They're Mark Briscoe. He's kind of the underdog of underdogs.
Exactly.
And then Jay Lethal's kind of turned into that.
He's kind of the under chicken.
And the under chicken. Well, hopefully, we're going to see Jay Lethal get out from underneath the thumb of Jeff Jarrett because I don't
hope
think it's
so.
doing him any
I
good.
don't.
He was in that Chainsaw Massacre match, which
Yeah.
was I everywhere I look, and I can't disagree. Worst match of the year. Was it entertaining? 100%. I will not disagree with anyone who says
Yeah.
that it was an entertaining
awkward.
match. But my lord, was that a pile?
That was something. That
was
was
a
something. Also, we had Swerve Strickland who defeated Roosh. So, as Mark said before, we have Swerve versus Jay White versus John Moxley.
Roosh was another one
Next week.
Roosh was another one that needed like everybody to lose in certain fashion.
Exactly.
For him to even have a chance.
Exactly. It just obviously didn't happen. But
Yeah.
I think even people that lost in this Continental Classic are going to gain something from it.
Oh, yeah.
And what's really cool is you can build off that every year. Jay Lethal can come back and be like, I didn't win a match, so now I'm back to
Rectify that
this year.
Yeah.
Exactly, to rectify
I'm going to win
that.
at least one match and then go from there.
You never know where it's going to go. So
I'm excited if they do. I think Tony Khan has mentioned something about this being a yearly thing. So I'm
Yes.
excited to see. The only question I have is, so this year you crown which I'm assuming will be the Continental Champion.
I believe that's what they call it.
I don't think
yeah.
they've officially come out with it yet, but I
Yeah.
think that's the running name right now. So if they win that next year when this rolls around, is it going to be like the G1 where you go and if you win the entire tournament, you get a shot at the Continental Classic at Wrestle Dream or All Out or
Sure.
World's End or whatever it is? I mean, that would kind of
I would imagine World's End if they're going to do it again like this next year.
right. I don't
Yeah.
know what they're going to do because, like I said, you got a title
A little
on the
bit
line
different,
right now.
right? Do you face that champion, the Continental Champion? Do you face
Or do
any
you get
champion?
any champion like the Money in the Bank,
and then
or
also
like
in-
the G1?
Yeah, and also in the G1, like this year you had Sonata who's in it. So if he wins, say for some reason, let's say Eddie Kingston ends up winning it this year and he holds
Right.
it for an entire year. Eddie Kingston's still a Continental Classic champion,
Right.
next year.
Right.
If Eddie wins that classic next year, there's like some advantage to that. I think you could pick
you
your
get
opponent, right?
The if you are the champion, if Sonata had won the G1 this year,
Mm-hmm.
then he would have the capability to fight. It was either any champion. I know that was like that. It was either that or it was any person on
Okay,
the
that's what I
NJPW
thought.
roster. Which
That's what I thought.
I think if you had a championship match and instead you went, yeah, but I want to fight Okada, even though he's not the champion.
Sure.
At the time, like
That would make sense.
management would be like, okay.
Sure.
But yeah, I think maybe they'll
But
do
if you
something
came in
like
and
that.
said Serpentico, they'd be like,
So is that your call for next year for the AEW Continental Classic 2024 is Serpentico
no, I was just saying
or
whoever.
John Cruz?
Yeah, yes.
Bendejo.
He's going to go in like Mick Foley. He's going to go in
He's
three
a champion.
times.
He's holding gold right now.
with Nyla Rose.
He's holding gold. Him and Nyla Rose. I don't know the promotion, but they are the tag team champions. So
Yep.
congratulations,
They
to Nyla Rose
despise each
and
other,
Serpentico.
so congrats.
Yeah, they so despise each other. It's like Shelton Benjamin and Mia Yim.
Oh, their relationship is great.
Okay, so Continental Classics coming up. We've got next week. They're going to have, like I said, Bryan Danielson, Eddie Kingston, John Moxley, Swerve Strickland, and Jay White will all be in their respective matches.
Yes, at Dynamite.
That will then determine the two individuals that will wrestle at AEW's Wrestle Dream on December 30th, which will be a week from last night, so we're less than a week away.
Correct.
But with that being said, with Wrestle Dream coming up, and last week being, I think it was Thursday, the 21st, those individuals that were released from WWE are now free agents.
Yes. And we're already seeing matches being booked, which
This
is
isn't
very
on
fun.
This isn't on the docket for the evening.
Okay.
Do you think we're going to see some names pop up at World's End?
I feel
AEW's
like...
newest pay-per-view.
Okay, one thing that kind of threw me for a curve was I was not expecting Mustafa Ali to put out a video and then put...
A fucking banger of a promo. Are you shitting me?
Oh my God. He is the, oh my God. He is
most
one of
underrated character in all of WWE programming.
He's one of my absolute favorite wrestlers, like point blank done. Doesn't matter.
After that video, I can see why.
Promotion doesn't matter. Like on the mic, fantastic. He makes great videos, but he's such a great wrestler. So after he put that out and he had literally said, like, I want to face these people, and one of them being Swerve, that was interesting. Now, Swerve obviously wrestles in indie promotion, so it could be something like that, but that could be interesting. Me personally, I just have felt like from the beginning, since we've done the math and realized it could happen, I feel like Dolph. I feel like Dolph is definitely.
I feel like
there.
that's where everybody's
Nick
like defaulting to is Dolph is going to show up in AEW.
Yeah,
I could see it. I don't know if we've talked about this in person or on the podcast because we talk about wrestling so much. I don't know if it's the best decision for AEW to pick up Dolph. Not that he wouldn't be a good asset. I just don't know what you would do with him. But I could totally
Where can I start? MJF. MJF would be a great, of course.
He would be great
start
food
for him to
for
come
MJF.
with.
Yes, you're right.
Food.
He would. Is he a threat?
Food.
Is he a threat?
He's a threat to your
MJF's
girlfriend and your ego.
MJF doesn't give a shit about his girlfriend.
Is he
gives
a threat
shit
to MJF?
about the Triple B. He gives a shit about his best brochacho, and he gives a shit about being the face of AEW. There is no threat if Dolph Ziggler comes to the roster. I have no. If they gave Dolph Ziggler the world title over MJF at World's End or at whatever pay-per-view, the people would shut off AEW and never turn it back on.
I don't blame
and that's
them.
what I mean. And not that Dolph Ziggler could not have awesome matches with the entire AEW roster, and not that he wouldn't have an amazing like promo segments and matches with MJF, but you cannot convince me that Dolph Ziggler is going to come into AEW and going to be in the world title contention. Even what are you going to give him, the TNT title? You're going to give him? I mean, or is he going to tag with his brother and have the tag titles?
Hold on. It's okay to bring people in and they don't have to go for a title.
No, and I know that.
Okay.
And I know that, but
you're acting like they have to go for a title. I feel like you could bring him in, and you don't have to necessarily have him come in necessarily and do like a tag team thing with his brother. I feel like that's so generic. Like everybody would expect that, just like you'd expect Edge and Christian to tag together. You feel like Ryan and Nick would tag together, which would just be kind of lame,
right? But
considering how good he is.
But hasn't AEW been criticized so much about just taking former WWE guys and putting them in a position where an up and coming individual could really fit in better? Well, you're going to tell me there's not somebody out there that could match the charisma of Dolph Ziggler that's 15 years younger?
Ricky Starks is who comes to mind for me. You could, but then like why not have them have a rivalry? Because like somebody like Ricky Starks, like to me, I don't think is necessarily doing the best thing that he could for his career by being in this random tag team with Big Bill. I don't think it's hurting, but I don't think it's really doing anything for him. But having a rivalry with Dolph Ziggler,
right? But again,
would be incredible for somebody like Ricky. Maybe it helps build your original AEW guys to it.
But then right there, you're using Dolph Ziggler as food for your other guys. So
I'm not saying what's
the point of bringing him in to put over Ricky Starks? Ricky Starks he's already over enough to be able to do that though. Like that's what I mean is I don't know where Dolph Ziggler would be able to fit in really And maybe I'm wrong. Like, fucking strike me down if I'm wrong. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying I know all the answers.
Yeah.
I have just yet to figure out a position that Dolph Ziggler would fit in AEW as an asset on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
I just can't see
disagree,
it.
but that's okay.
I just can't see it.
That's all right.
I see him like just plot hopping, going from here to here to storyline just to fill in the void, like he did in WWE for the past 10 years.
I don't see them doing it like that.
When was the last time Dolph Ziggler had like a good run?
I don't know, and I feel like this is one good thing about AEW is they bring in people in WWE who didn't really get the respect that they deserve. Yes, he had a great
He did for a little bit.
run. He had a great run as champion when he won that belt.
Big E and AJ Lee
cashing
storyline.
in that Money in the Bank
Oh
contract.
my God, that was so
against
good.
Alberto Del Rio. That was
best
the
in
best
world.
cash in.
See, and that's what I mean. Like, I don't want to
ever.
discredit Dolph Ziggler for
They
not
gave
having
him that.
moments, skills,
It
and
wasn't
mics.
him. It was that because WWE just didn't push him enough. And it's unfortunate that him and, unfortunately, Mustafa Ali became those guys that just, and Ricochet now too,
But see, right there,
are
perfect.
just those guys that put everybody else over. And I don't think that's what Dolph needs to come into AEW to do.
Right.
He
Right.
can, which is great, but I think he can come in and be a great asset to them because obviously he has massive amounts of experience, but he's great on the mic, and that's so hard to find people that are as good in the ring as they are on the mic, and I think that would be a huge asset to AEW.
But see, I'm going to counter your idea of thinking that he's going to show up at World's End. I think that you're going to see Mustafa Ali because exactly
be
how
mad.
you said, short of the years of experience, but in-ring capability covers for a lot of that unknown experience.
Yeah.
Mustafa Ali could go 1-for-1 with Dolph Ziggler on the mic, like 100%.
I don't doubt it for a
and that's
second.
what I mean. I feel like
And
if
his
you brought in
charisma,
somebody like
woo,
Mustafa Ali
hard to beat.
over Dolph Ziggler would be perfect for AEW.
I
It would
do.
give
I
you
do think that would be
exactly
great,
that
yeah.
thing to where if you need to feed him to somebody just to put somebody over, or if you need him to go over as a villain, like my God, keep that man as a heel.
Don't
Like,
know why Mustafa Ali and Hobbs. That's like the first thing that came to my mind.
but I just
You could just have some
see,
really
like,
good.
I think Mustafa Ali would be a much better fit than Dolph Ziggler.
I just see.
And not that Dolph Ziggler again is not skilled and wouldn't be able to have bangers.
Oh, sure.
But strictly because he is on the back end of his prime, and you can't disagree with me that he's not.
I disagree only because they just haven't pushed him.
I don't know.
I
know.
disagree. I
I think Ali would
I am
fit
a
so
huge
well
Ali
in
fan.
that style
I
of
just
AEW.
can't help but think that Ali would be one of, if not the best, X Division guys for TNA.
Oh my
You
God!
know, and I can't help it. You know, obviously we don't have as much time to watch TNA as I would like, but just that X Division is dying for somebody like Ali. And they said that they signed somebody huge, so.
Yep, I think that's this week, isn't it?
I honest to God don't know, but I mean Scott doesn't disappoint, man. Like,
No,
I'm really
they said this is the
happy
biggest
with the direction this is going.
This is the biggest signing in TNA history.
I mean, I thought Kurt Angle was.
Which again, I mean, honest to God, I could see Dolph Ziggler in Impact.
I mean, yeah, I totally could too.
I feel like he's got enough star
Oh,
power.
Zigzag, yeah.
I feel like I could see him in Impact.
They're both great wrestlers.
But I mean, I could see Ali in Impact.
Yeah.
I could see Shelton Benjamin in Impact.
I was going to say, now
could
let's
see-
say you didn't even talk about Shelton Benjamin's video.
Oh my God, Shelton Benjamin came out with the best damn I'm a free agent video. Godzilla with him dubbing over. Oh, it's so stupid.
Godzilla was
and good.
taking a nap, and then they're like, "Oh, it's time
Yeah,
to
it was
wake
just
up."
a
And
clip
he
of
was
one of the
like,
Godzilla
"Oh,
movies of
I'm
Godzilla
awake.
waking up, and it was
I'm a
him like
free
realizing
agent.
like, oh, I got to get up and I got to figure out how to make some money.
Who's hiring?"
Who's hiring? So Shelton Benjamin
the
could
man. You're gonna tell me Shelton's on the back end of his prime? Like, get out of here. These guys are so talented.
Shelton Benjamin has been on the top of his prime for 30 years.
Forever.
He was with WWE
Shelton
for
don't
20
quit.
years, and I don't think he's been on TV for like 15.
Yeah, he's so good.
He really is. He
The three
really
of
is
them
a specimen.
Are so
Could you imagine though being
underutilized.
Shelton Benjamin though? Like, listen, you're gonna do house shows. You're not going to be on TV, and we just need you to
Yeah.
be ready every once in a while. So that means you literally
real.
get paid to just look
Yeah.
good.
I
So he
mean-
just works out, gets paid.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he does appearances. He does other things.
Absolutely.
Like I'm sure it's not him just chilling all day.
Absolutely. Me personally, I booked the 3 of those guys. I'm putting Mustafa Ali in TNA. I'm putting my boy Zigzag Dolph Ziggler in AEW.
You're wrong. Those are going to be
And
swapped.
Shelton Benjamin needs to go to NJPW.
Oh,
He killed it in
Tanahashi.
Japan.
He can wrestle the president of NJPW.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Tanahashi, for becoming the president.
I know, right? And
My
then
God.
Alex Coughlin posted, "Not my president."
Alex Coughlin's the best wrestler in all of
damn it.
professional wrestling. I love him so much. The War Dogs. Oh my
Amazing.
God. They
Amazing.
itch. The War Dogs, they itch my like 80s action movie
Sure.
like shtick. Like I could watch them all day.
Uh-huh.
The G1 Summit press conference.
That was sick.
Oh my God, everything. I loved it. I love professional
sick.
wrestling. Professional wrestling's great, and if you don't like it, I don't know why you're listening to this podcast,
Yeah,
but
right.
fuck you.
He's like the Kurt Russell of wrestling.
Kurt Russell of wrestling. That's a I don't know. He's a pretty good villain. I feel like he'd be the bad guy in a Kurt Russell movie.
Who, Alex Coughlin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
The
feel
bad
like
guy, yeah. Okay.
I feel like he might not be he might not be like the final boss, but he definitely might be like final boss's like right hand stooge.
Okay, that's fair.
You know, we're like, hey, go get him, and he's like, "Ah!" and he like eats 3 packs of cigarettes and attacks you. You know,
I can see Gabe Kidd being like that too.
Oh yeah, they both would be. They'd
No
be
questions
like,
asked.
They'd be like the brothers that get everything, you know, taken
Yeah,
care of.
no
you know what I
questions
mean?
asked.
No questions asked. But yeah, there's still a lot more names than just the 3 that we brought up.
There
Like I
are,
said,
yeah.
Mustafa Ali, Dolph Ziggler, Shelton Benjamin, Riddick Moss, Rick Boogs, Emma, Aaliyah, Elias, Top Dollar. I don't think we'll see him going anywhere. He actually said that botch that he did saved his life. Apparently,
I
he
did
went
see that.
to the doctor directly after that and said
He said
that
he
his
always
blood
makes
sugar,
that move, so he had to check with a doctor to see why he couldn't make it.
Which, all right, cool. If it saved your life, great. I mean, it's just something funny that we all laugh at, but if it did good, then great. Wonderful.
Yep.
So glad you're not dead, really, honest to God. Dana Brooke, Mace Mansoor, Quincy Elliott, Shanky, and a slew of names, including Matt Riddle, but he wasn't fired with the... I think he was fired with the rest of them, but I think it was more of a... Well, we can just move and get rid of a lot of headspace if we get rid of him. And he's been announced for GCW for I think like 3 dates.
GCW? I thought it was
MLW? I'm sorry, MLW.
Yeah, MLW, where he used to work.
Which is funny because they just settled a lawsuit with WWE outside of court for an undisclosed amount of money. So rumor is they have a shitload of cash on hand. So WWE inadvertently is still paying Matt Riddle for performing in MLW.
Oh, that's fantastic.
If you really break it down, yeah, it's kind of funny that way.
Mace and Mansoor, I'd love to see
Mace,
them,
not Mace, I'm sorry.
them tagging up and doing something because they are just
They've been
so
very
funny.
active on social
They're
media.
So charismatic. Again, their videos are great. They're fun on the mic. They're really good at wrestling. So hopefully we'll end up seeing that somewhere on TV
Right.
as well. But again, they've booked some matches, so it's like a lot of these people have been keeping up with it. I mean, Riddick Moss, hopefully he'll find something. Rick Boogs, I mean, he's just
Riddick
built like a
Moss-
tank.
Riddick Moss has the capabilities of being somebody in professional wrestling. He's got the look, he has the skill. He has not been able to develop a character that has resonated with the fans.
Right. Maybe the indies are going to be good for him.
And I feel like Rick Boogs is the same way. I feel like his character is so outlandish, like it's
love
almost like a
Boogs.
New Day character. I love Boogs too. I love the character, but I'm also one that likes guitar wielding individuals that are loud and muscular.
Yeah.
And
Fair.
some people don't like that.
What about Elias? You see him doing anything?
I don't know. Elias as like the lone wandering guitar playing individual, no. But I also feel like he's kind of pigeonholed into that kind of role. Like no matter where he goes, he's either going to be Elias or he'll be his brother, which I can't remember his name.
Hopefully not.
But you know what I mean? I feel like it's just kind of gotten like that's him.
Well,
Like,
I mean, look at Fandango. He's not Fandango.
no, he's Dirty Dango.
Yeah, but he's not like living that same
No, he's
thing
not.
where he's like
yeah.
a professional dancer. So
Yeah,
it's
I guess
possible
you're right.
to
It's
like,
possible. I just feel like
move
it's going to
on
be
from
difficult
it.
for him to get away from that.
you know,
Whereas Riddick Moss, I feel like
he had no weird
there's
storyline.
nothing.
So
There's nothing really. Like,
yeah,
there's
it's almost
not really
worse.
Like, he had that goofy, who was he tagging with when he was wearing the suspenders? I can't even remember, and he was all silly.
God, I can't even
It
remember
doesn't
at
matter,
this
but that didn't really go over
Just
too
didn't
well with
stand
him.
out, yeah.
And then him and his fiance Emma had like a rough.
She got tanked too.
Well, she got tanked. She got brought back. She got tanked again.
That's rough.
So Dana Brooke's been kind of like mid card for a good long while, but she's mid card. I don't know. I can't say like anything. I don't know. Dana Brooke doesn't really resonate too well with me.
Yeah, same.
But a lot of these are young NXT talent that, you know, were brought in and were just let go because they just either weren't advancing or they just didn't have room for them or whatever.
Sure.
So there's still good potential there. So lots of names we'll see coming up here probably in a bunch of different promotions over the next couple of months.
Yep, but they are free agents.
Yeah, as of I guess I think it was last Thursday, the 21st. So yeah.
Yep. All right, moving on to discussing again the top matches between Mark and I for the year. We have
Well, no top matches, just matches we really enjoyed.
Yes, exactly. Matches that
I
we
really
think
want
that
to
we've
emphasize
enjoyed.
that because somebody's going to hear this podcast, and even though I've said this 3 times, these aren't our top matches. I don't really feel like dealing with this is my number 1 match of the year because
Right.
I could watch 5 different matches 5 different days out of the week, and each one of them is going to be my favorite 5 different times. Like, it's just whatever I'm feeling at the moment. So nobody take this to face value. These are just matches that we looked and were like, damn, I remember this. This was a really good match.
They were pivotal. They had storyline.
Right.
They added a lot to the year, and they stood out to the two of us unanimously.
And you can make the argument 1,000 other matches could replace every single thing we talk about.
Oh yeah, because there's definitely going to be some contingencies here at the end of honorable mentions that
Right.
that we didn't necessarily agree fully on.
We
These matches that are coming up, we did agree
We
on.
basically sat down and said, okay, we're gonna choose our matches. Just get a list of 10 or under matches of what we want to talk about, and we're gonna sit down and figure out, you know, which common ones we had. And I don't know, like personally, I think Bakagaijan, I think the whole promotion's better than everything on professional wrestling, but that's just me. They also have Deathworm.
They do.
They have
do.
Deathworm. And
As
I
I was
mean-
just saying before we recorded that picture of
I'm pretty sure
Deathworm with Aussie Open.
I'm pretty sure Deathworm is part of Aussie Open now.
Like
I think he infested.
a-
I think he infested Aussie Open's brain, and they had no choice but to bow down to their new overlord, Deathworm.
If you don't know about Deathworm, do yourself a favor.
Submit yourself.
Submit
to Deathworm.
yourself and do a little bit of research. It takes a little bit because you can't just search Deathworm and it pops up. It takes
No,
a little bit of
you
research.
have to look up. Okay, you got to start at Bakagaijan and Friends on YouTube, and I believe it's episode 2. And I think in the main event they have Deathworm. So learn about Deathworm, become Deathworm, submit to Deathworm. Welcome to the Deathworm and Wrestling Podcast.
Yes, there are no Deathworm matches in this list of matches.
Strictly
that we're gonna go over.
strictly because it would be completely unfair.
It would be
to
unfair.
any other match, to any other participant, to even think they compare to Deathworm.
That's fair. That's fair. What better way to start off this list I have here
Right.
than to go with what I think is going to get no argument from literally any wrestling fan when I say that this match was memorable from beginning to
You're
end.
setting up a lot of hype for this.
Gunther, Sheamus, Drew McIntyre, WrestleMania 39,
Yes.
banger.
Yes. The minute you said Gunther, it was okay.
Banger.
Like there was no argument
Well,
because
and I feel
Gunther
like-
has not had a bad match.
I feel like that's a very important thing to say when we're talking about this is Gunther in general is a
Right.
topic of discussion and a topic of great things to have.
Top performance in WWE, like one
Yes.
of you can
Yes.
Bloodline aside because I feel like that it's beyond touchable at this
Yes.
point. Gunther has had the best run in WWE.
Yes. And the best matches.
Oh, 100%. Has
The best
delivered every
matches.
time.
The matches with Chad Gable, loved.
Oh, yeah. Bangers. Every
Loved.
single one of them. Still disappointed
Loved.
that Chad Gable didn't get that belt, but I understand
I
it.
understand it. Doesn't
Feel
mean
like
he
it's a
never
lot of
will.
that. Right.
Doesn't mean he never will. But
Right.
that one with Sheamus and Drew McIntyre really stands out,
Mm-hmm.
not only for the actual match and the wrestling itself, but the story between real life best friends Sheamus and Drew McIntyre.
Right.
That added so much to it.
And right, if the whole buildup was, you know, of course Gunther is having this legendary run with the Intercontinental title, and Drew McIntyre and Sheamus both want it for obvious reasons. Sheamus wants it because he's never captured the Intercontinental title. Drew wants just gold. they're both real life best friends, and they go through these qualms of during the match, like the other one has to stop the other one from scoring the win. And it comes down to how strong is your friendship compared to how strong is your want for this championship.
Exactly.
And it plays into that quite a bit because a lot of the times you'll see that in this match because at one point, Sheamus just gets the best of Gunther, ends up getting him in a pin that was pretty convincing that was going to be it, and Drew ends up grabbing by the foot and yanking him out of the ring, and even Sheamus is standing there like, what did you just do? You just took away my one chance that I had. And without,
now they're going back and forth.
Oh, yeah, without missing a beat, Drew looks at Sheamus and then punches him in the mouth, and they go back and forth. And I think what's cool about this match is that plays into why Gunther had an even bigger advantage over pretty much a handicap match.
Yeah, exactly.
When
they
you're
were against each other so much.
When you're the champion on a triple threat match, it's a handicap match. You can lose by two different individuals.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Drew could pin Sheamus and
yeah, you could have nothing to do with the decision, and that's it. So and even beyond the storyline aspect of this match, it was such a hard-hitting match. These three men, they're massive dudes. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. These are probably three of the most impressive guys in WWE right now. Drew McIntyre being somebody who you can literally see his transformation if you go back when he was Drew Galloway in
it's
Impact.
Incredible to think that's the same person.
And that was even after he was in WWE before that.
The one-man band.
In the one-man band, with
if you don't know.
Heath Slater and Jinder Mahal, who was, both of them are probably like mid-card at this point. But
man, Heath has kids.
Yeah, that's why he's mid-card. But Drew McIntyre, has completely transformed himself, learned so much more, and has completely changed his complete physique.
Literally started from the bottom.
Right? Sheamus being a guy that has just been an absolute tank for 15 plus years, and then Gunther, this up-and-coming individual. The match was an absolute bell-to-bell banger. No doubts about it, but then when you add the little bits of storyline and you add the little bits of a friendship that is crumbling because one wants, what the other one has always had and the other one just wants what he's always wanted.
Right. You didn't know who was going to walk away as the winner in this one.
No, you really didn't. Yeah, and I think when we did our predictions, I don't think either one of us thought Gunther was walking away.
No, it was just hard to predict.
And it was just one of those matches to where if you go back, it's going to stand the test of time. It's going to be one of the best matches of WrestleMania. Honest to God, this WrestleMania was one of the best WrestleManias they've had in a while.
It was great, and 2 days are a lot to digest.
Yeah, and not saying that any WrestleMania is bad by any means, but this one...
They're always great. This one really had a lot of just memorable matches.
I had 4 WWE matches. I had 4 WWE and 4 AEW matches. And 3 of them were from WrestleMania 39.
I could see why. I had another match from WrestleMania 39 as well.
And I think I ended up getting rid of one, not because it wasn't a good match, but just because I was trying to reduce it down to a manageable amount of matches. Sure. And I believe it was WrestleMania 39.
Yeah.
It was another match.
Yeah, this will stand the test of time as well as that 3-way again for the Intercontinental Championship. I think that only solidified Gunther as a top dog in the main promotion of WWE.
It's funny you say that. I feel like we're consistently saying that every single time he has a match.
Yeah.
Every time he has a premium live event match, I feel like somebody is out there saying, wow, Gunther really solidified himself as ... I think we are all in just denial that it's been 9 months since Gunther has solidified himself as a staple in the main event.
He performs 100% every single time he gets in that ring.
Right. He is a main eventer that is the top of the mid range. He's elevated that belt. You're not going to get that belt any higher than what he's gotten at this point.
It's going to be tough.
It's going to be real tough.
The next guy, it's going to be really, really, really tough to keep it elevated that high because it is not a mid-card belt.
Does he have a challenger for Royal Rumble? Is he wrestling at Royal Rumble?
From what I can remember, no.
I know he's taking a few weeks off. He said that on Raw last week. He was yelling at Giovanni Da Vinci and Ludwig Kaiser.
Right.
And said, I'm going to take the next couple of weeks off because I am a champion and I deserve it. and I think that's going to line up with Royal Rumble. So I don't know if he
believe
has
so.
an opponent. It won't be The Miz.
I think that's probably the right move because he's had opponent after opponent, rivalry after rivalry.
Right.
And trust me, this is not me complaining, but I think it would be nice to kind of get him away from, the watchful eye of every single week coming out and defending it, and every pay-per-view defending it. I think it would be good to take him away for a couple of weeks and then just have a new opponent creep in. And,
Right.
face Gunther. I don't know. He could hold it for years. I don't know what they have planned for him, but he's one of the very few champions in wrestling that I literally don't care. He can hold that belt for, you know what I mean, for as long as he needs to. But I think the only reason he's going to lose that belt is because he's on his way to a bigger main event.
You
belt.
also, the only problem with that is you have to have a hole in the main event picture
Exactly.
for him to fill. And I think right now it is so congested with so many top stars in WWE. I think he has little chance of going anywhere as of right now. Even when he drops that belt, I guarantee he's going to drop the belt and have a cooling off period where he goes away for a few months and then comes back hot and heavy at a pay-per-view to, thwart one of the Usos in their championship match.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But yeah, Gunther, he won this match, but Gunther, Drew McIntyre, and Sheamus honestly could be arguably one of the top WWE matches of 2023.
Of course.
Definitely one of my favorites. We watched it today, and
it still holds.
It still holds up. It was still Jamie and I were, every time they kicked out, every time something happened, it was just like, oh my God, this just an amazing match.
Now, while Gunther is holding it down over in WWE, let's be honest, you can't talk about AEW without talking about the devil, Maxwell Jacob Friedman. He is definitely...
Was I supposed to say the devil there?
No.
I was looking down at the table. I don't know if you were trying to cue me up.
No, you're good. Maxwell Jacob Friedman, your champion MJF. I think it's very important to talk about
our
him.
Scumbag.
Our scumbag, whatever you want to call him.
Acknowledge him.
Yeah. Just in general, MJF has absolutely been holding it down this year. He's had an incredible reign being the champion. He's fought not only as the AEW World Champion, he's also fought as the ROH Tag Team Champion. Right. He's defended it by himself. He's defended it with Samoa Joe. He's had all of this with the Devil and the different rivalries, and he's really had one hell of a year, which we do have to talk about the fact that his contract again is...
It is coming up January 1st, 2024. The bidding war of 2024 is among us.
Yeah. We don't know if he signed.
By his word, he has not signed a new contract with AEW. And I mean, I can't see why our scumbag would lie to us.
Oh, he would never, would he?
The most professional wrestler in all of professional wrestling. I mean, he literally shakes hands and yells the word sportsmanship. I mean, how much more professional do you get? He claims he has not signed.
Correct.
However, of course, the dirty dirt sheets that lie all the time that we would never read. I would never go on Wrestling Inc. or Cage Side Seats or Fightful or any of those PW Insiders.
Or go on X. I mean, maybe you can follow us at CAW Wrestling Bud.
I would never go on there and believe anything they would say, but they do say that the rumor is that he is re-signed with AEW already.
Which, I mean, come on. Would make a lot of sense.
I mean, yeah, he went from... I mean, come on.
They have this much storyline and this much, invested in MJF, and he's not re-signed.
And in this point, at this point with AEW versus WWE, not that there is an AEW versus WWE, unless you really want to get into IWC. And
depends if you ask Tony Khan or not.
Well, I mean, honest to God, like if you look at it, Jade Cargill jump ship, Cody Rhodes jump ship.
Yep.
There's always rumors of all these other people.
We can't
wanting
say
to jump
CM Punk really.
CM Punk jump ship like he really did. He got fired and went to the other place.
Yeah.
AEW could not afford to lose Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
Absolutely not.
If MJF did not get what he wanted from AEW and went to WWE, AEW would become the biggest laughing stock of professional wrestling.
They would.
How do you lose every one of your top stars?
For real. And if they weren't able to hold down MJF, I do not think that they would put this much time and invest into him if he wasn't staying. But at any rate, supposedly he is not re-signed, but that's okay. At least we have this year to really reflect back on. So many matches, so many things to reflect on with MJF himself. Again, like I said, he's defended so many different championships, but for us, I think the highlight is definitely his match with Adam Cole that happened on Dynamite. I want to say it was in May of this year. It was a 30-minute match. It was an opening match.
Was it Adam Cole's return match? Maybe it wasn't his return match, but it was one of his return match. It was one of his, like, he'd just come back. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it was. I'll let you continue. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
No, that's okay. That's just like I said. It was just a Dynamite match for MJF's championship.
Right. Well, no, it was an eliminator match.
Yep. See if he was going to have the opportunity to face him.
Right, and it went to a 30-minute draw, and I don't think a single person thought that it was going to end like that.
I personally, I know we got on Twitter the next day and it was just like this huge thing about I saw this coming and, or I didn't like it. I was really invested in it, and I think they did a great job because they started off Dynamite with a match. When Dynamite ends with a match, I can't help but look at the clock and be like, "Oh, what time is it?" You know,
it's 10:59.
Yeah, there's not much left. They're gonna wrap it, and thankfully, lately they've said, we'll stick with it. So if they go 3, 4, 5 minutes over, not a big deal.
But even then, once it hits 10:05, you're like, okay, it's any second now. It's gonna end.
Exactly. So you're kind of ready for it once it gets close to that 10 o'clock mark. But
so you already know there's a time limit.
Exactly. But when you open up a show, you're really not thinking about it. You got 2
hours. There's no way a match is gonna go 2 hours.
Yeah, I never thought about like a time limit draw at the beginning of a show. So I think they set it up perfectly by starting off Dynamite with it.
And they mentioned that. They mentioned that in the rules. It is a 30-minute time limit draw. And if they don't win, you don't get the opportunity.
Exactly.
It is a stipulation. But number one, when have you ever seen a time limit draw on live television?
It doesn't happen. I thought it was going to be typical MJF cheats.
Right.
No way Adam Cole's going to win.
Right. And I think everybody did. And in every opportunity, they had that. They had where MJF brought out the ring. He did every dirty trick in the book.
I think Adam Cole even used his belt, MJF's belt, at one time to hit him over the head with it. It was... I don't care.
It was a mutual
what
back and forth
that I have to do.
Right.
Bryce did catch MJF with his Dynamite Diamond ring at one point, so he stopped that. But it was just at that point they weren't friends. They weren't brochachos.
Oh, they hated each other.
Yeah,
it was great.
Yeah, so it was perfect. They really the wrestling was fantastic enough to put this match in contention for what we're talking about with this list. But the idea, the idea of how it just ended, like I said, with Bryce Remsburg, he was set up. MJF was laying down. He was waiting for his shoulders to actually be down on the mat. And then Adam Cole finally pinned MJF. Bryce jumped down as quickly as he could. He was ready to go. Hit the one.
As quickly
hit the two.
As the time limit would let him.
He hit the one, hit the two, and then the bell rung. And I think that was just one of the coolest things of the year.
You know who, honest to God, real quick, not to interject, you know who was probably even better than Adam Cole, MJF, and Bryce Remsburg?
What's that?
It was probably the person who had the bell.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, I've got to time this
that chick, she's got color hair.
So ungodly close. You couldn't botch that a half a second.
Yeah.
If you were too long, Bryce's hand would have came down.
Exactly.
If you were too early, it wouldn't have made as much of a reaction.
It was perfectly planned. It was perfectly
she was like,
executed.
all right, ready? Ding, ding, ding. And she put that down. She's like, oh my God, yes, I did it. Oh my God, I'm getting a raise. I'm going on vacation.
Yeah. I think what was really cool
especially
about
after
it.
Revolution botch.
I think what was really cool about it was at first I didn't understand what was
going on. No one did. You saw in the crowd, people half the people were cheering, half the people were like, wait,
why
what?
Is this over?
And it was like nobody understood what was going on because even Bryce was he was holding up the 2, but the bell rang. And Adam Cole was pinning him, and he was still down. He never lifted his shoulders up.
Exactly.
And it was so good. It was so good. It took everybody by surprise.
Because it took the dynamic of wrestling and make sure you pay attention to the rules and the time limit and every single thing.
Right.
It really put that into it. It's not just necessarily a performance. The game went against Adam Cole in this circumstance.
NFL has a time limit. Hockey has a time limit.
Yep.
I mean, you have parameters to keep the game interesting, and you have to stay within those parameters. They stayed within those 30-minute parameters, and neither one of them got a pin or submission win.
It was perfectly executed.
And it was,
and what I really loved was afterwards, Adam Cole looked at MJF and said, 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes. So it seemed like it was really going to go that route. But of course, MJF being MJF and being our scumbag and our heel at the time.
Right.
Absolutely not.
Right. Because he picked that microphone up and just, he baited us. Oh, so good. And rolled out. And it started, honest to God, I honest to God, this started one of the best AEW storylines that they've developed. Whether you agree,
I agree. I really do.
Outside of this, it really developed into one of the biggest focal points. It's getting rocky at this point with the devil and the devil's rejects or whatever you want to call them. I think I'm hoping we're not on the road to a crash over after such a good run with Adam Cole. I think they stubbed their toe pretty hard with Adam Cole injuring himself. But hey, you know what? There's still a theory that Adam Cole faked the fucking injury and it's all bullshit and he hasn't had surgery and he's just been sitting at home and he's been the devil and he's been Britt Baker's the devil or the Kingdom is the devil and Roddy is the devil and Samoa Joe is the devil.
As we've said before,
I'm the devil. Wardlow's the devil.
People are trying to measure how tall these people look and how wide these people look and compare it to somebody else, and I'm just trying to
they're popping out
be
that
a part of the
CSI
ride.
Forensics.
Yeah, I'm just trying to be a part of the ride and be like, whatever happens. I hope it's good. I hope it's clever. I hope it doesn't just
I really hope it's worthwhile. I really hope that they have thought about this, and it's not. Not that I don't want it to be Jungle Boy, but I really don't want it to be Jungle Boy.
Right.
I don't want it to show. It would just be too obvious. It would be just too on the nose. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's kind of one of the ones that makes sense. But it would only make sense if he was over right now, and he's not really that over. He's kind of a blemish. So I don't know.
It's a tough call. I hope they've been working on it, and I hope it works out in the end. But again, this whole just went from a rivalry to a best friend situation between MJF and Adam Cole, which
and then they won the belts.
Just for reference for
ROH
anybody who
titles.
hasn't had a chance to see it, it was the Dynamite that was aired on June 14th.
Okay.
June 14th. So.
I don't even know if AEW has their Dynamite catalog completely up yet.
I don't know, but it might help you be able to find it.
Well, hopefully the come the new year we'll hear some news about that because I know there's been
a streaming
AEW.
Service would be great.
I think it's AEW Plus. There's been a couple of
Something
rumor
like
names
that.
and trademark stuff, but MJF Adam Cole the 30-minute time limit draw for the elimination title match. By far, one of my favorite matches of theirs. I mean, you can even All In. They did. Oh my God, what a great match at All In!
I loved it. I loved that.
I really think this one trumps that one strictly because of the wow factor of the I cannot believe that happened. You know what I mean? And I know in the All In match, you had so many moments where MJF could have turned and kept being heel, but he wasn't. And he, it is one of those things where it's wow, it was really a turning point of his character. Yes, you're right. But without this match, the next 6 months of the brochachos
wasn't there.
Of the brotherhood of them.
That he's going to turn on Adam would not be there if it wasn't for that match.
So this one's definitely up in my top matches of the year, without a doubt.
Absolutely.
MJF has had a hell of a year. We brought that up. I don't, and we're going to get to our honorable mentions. I have to bring this up. This isn't one we're going to speak about in detail because I would need a full 60 minutes to talk about this. MJF and Bryan Danielson had a 60-minute Iron Man match that if you didn't think that MJF could go the distance, my God, go and watch that match. Banger of a match, but better than that match, which is surprising that you can even say that out loud because that was I think the final score was 4-3. So there were 7 total pins in a single 60-minute match. And
did MJF do an eye poke just to get, and he got a...
It was something ridiculous. And if I remember, the pins were all, the majority of them were all within 5 minutes of each other.
Yeah, it was quick. It went on for a while before he went.
And it went to sudden death, didn't it? It went 3-on-3, and then it went to sudden death. It doesn't matter. It was an amazing match. Bryan Danielson and Zack Sabre Jr. put on an absolute technical clinic. And
at Wrestle Dream.
I'm going to say probably the exact same things I said when we did our Wrestle Dream review or reactions a few months ago. These two guys put, like, if you want to understand how to wrestle without doing high-flying moves, without doing tope suicidas, without doing 450 splashes, without doing corkscrew double McNustle triple twists.
Like, it's not...
If you want to know how to fucking wrestle, watch this match. If you want to know how to roll around with your significant other in positions that you didn't know you could hit spots you could, watch this match. This is an absolute bell-to-bell, just technical masterpiece.
Yeah. I think what's great about Bryan Danielson is he makes everybody look better. What blew my mind about this match is I've always, from the second I first saw Zack Sabre Jr., I was like, there is something really, really special and unique about this guy. A lot like Will Ospreay.
I hated him the minute I saw him.
Oh, I loved him.
And knowing that, looking at him, just like Chris Jericho, the minute I laid eyes on Chris Jericho at like 12 years old, and I've hated him for 25 years up until, when did AEW start?
2019.
Other than finally realizing why I've hated Chris Jericho for so long, and it's because he's so good.
He's good at his job.
Because he's meant for me to be hated.
Exactly.
Zack Sabre Jr. is the same thing. The minute he opens his mouth, he has that Australian accent. He's got that cockiness, and mixed with that Australian, like, oh my God.
Is he Australian or is he British?
I thought he was Australian. It doesn't matter. That
thick accent.
That accent that isn't an American accent. I don't know what I'm an ignorant American. What do you want me to say? But that accent mixed with the arrogance of confidence.
Yes.
Like, not the arrogance of somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about. The arrogance of an individual that knows they're this shit.
Yes.
And they know they can back it up,
like I said,
every single time.
The closest person I can think of that reminds me of that is Will Ospreay. Both these guys are super young, super arrogant.
And runs their mouth like it's like, oh my God.
Because they can. Because they know that they can.
Because they know they're that good.
They do. But as I was saying, Bryan Danielson makes everybody look better. Zack Sabre Jr. actually made Bryan Danielson look like a better wrestler because of how technical they were pulling this off. And it was like... The perfect blend. The perfect blend.
Well, it's like
it was coffee and creamer, you know?
It's like seeing Michael Jordan and Dennis Rodman going one-on-one. Like, two of the best to do it, and they're both the amount of skill that they're going to have to go back and forth with one another is going to be just out of this world. And these two, the exact same thing. Like they both understand the sport. They understand.
I want to say more like, let's say they're Bobby Orr and Wayne Gretzky.
Ooh, nice, very nice. But you've got like one knows the other one, and the other one knows the other one. They both know the sport. They know how to make it look good on their end.
Exactly.
And so does the other one. You combine that, and it's just like this holy trinity of meat. I don't know what I don't know. Of technical meat.
It's so good. I think the one thing that was crazy about this
this whole match wasn't even a fucking title match either.
I know, right?
It was just a match.
Dream match.
I just want to fight you.
I think what was really fun about this match too was like afterwards. Actually, it was frustrating. Afterwards, for like weeks, I would watch wrestling, and it was almost I couldn't get into wrestling as much. It wasn't good enough because that match was so good. I was like, damn, nothing was as good as that Bryan Danielson and Zack Sabre Jr. match a couple weeks ago. It just like almost rubbed me in the wrong way because it was too good.
This isn't. Yeah, it's not. I know what you mean.
It was just too technically sound.
I know what you mean. It's like the first time you
have to determine a winner. It's surprising.
It's like the first time you have an actual Coke, and then for some reason you have to go back to Diet Coke for the next week. You're like, this shit sucks.
This is awful. I got a taste of like what a beautiful thing is, and that's Coke in a bottle.
I take that back. I was gonna say Coke in a bottle. Like, yeah. By the way, coffee and wrestling, 100% Coke in a bottle. Best way to drink Coke.
Yep.
No, I take that back. Fountain.
McDonald's
fountain.
Yeah.
Only if they update the fountain.
Yeah.
But now they've got all those weird ass Coca-Cola pick your flavor machines.
Oh, like Wendy's.
And I just want Coke. I just want Coca-Cola. I don't want
orange Coke.
I'm not orange. I'm not lemon. Don't give me no vanilla. I don't want cherry.
vanilla
Don't
Coke
give
is
me a
so
lime.
gross.
I don't want kiwi. I don't want blueberry. I don't want farva berry. I don't want shit ass berry. I don't want dingleberry.
But you also drink your coffee black.
I want Coca-Cola. I don't know if I wanted it. If I wanted my coffee to taste like a hazelnut, I'd fucking drink hazelnut juice. I don't know. Like, it's coffee. I like coffee.
Can you milk a hazelnut?
Can you milk? Does it have nipples?
You can milk me, Greg.
Does Greg have nipples?
No, not that, Greg.
Greg has a bird chest. A few people will understand that.
I digress. Last and definitely not least on this list, Orange Cassidy, again, the reign for this man, even though he does end up losing the championship
In this
and
particular
regaining
match.
it. Orange Cassidy has had, in my eyes, the best run as a champion. Absolute workhorse.
Stand aside Roman Reigns.
So fun with his matches. Worked so hard. But I think the most hard-hitting and the most pivotal to Orange Cassidy's reign was the match he had between him and Jon Moxley at All Out. All Out was a great pay-per-view. I really loved it. I think we talked about this before on our podcast a few months ago when it debuted. All In was for like the network executives. All Out was for like the fans that have been there for a few years.
Right.
It was just hard-hitting. Loved it. This match with Orange Cassidy, it was like a different Orange Cassidy. He faced Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley didn't bleed. Orange Cassidy just bled all over the mat. It was an absolute mess. Was doing things in a different way.
Bloody as hell.
Like, he does that, like, you know, very dull shin kicks.
Right.
Just as, like, the trademark. And at a point, he was going back with Jon Moxley, and he was actually really, like, kicking him at that point. Like,
I think
pretending, not doing the hands in the pockets kind of gimmick thing. There was, like, a crossing of the line of the gimmick with Jon Moxley.
Well, I think he had to. I think this was the opportunity that, even though he lost, this was the opportunity to show that just because, again, Orange Cassidy has been, you know, labeled as a like comedy wrestler, and even though he's been a champion for this long, that people are still like, oh, you still haven't fought so-and-so. Oh, you still haven't, you know, really gotten a good, you know, this, that, and the other thing. So this was his opportunity to go in and be like, I can take the ass whooping. Let me show you again why I am the best at what I do, because he really is. Like, he has taken this character, and against so many people's criticism, against so many people shitting on the design of his character.
So many people not liking him, JR included. There's been so many people that have come out and like, I didn't get it.
He is, and just steadfast, just kept going with that gimmick, and has shown that just because the gimmick might not resonate with you right away, the wrestling and the performance of the entire like package of the individual is what sells it.
Exactly.
I get why people look at him and go, what is this guy?
He's different. He comes out to the ring with a backpack, a JanSport backpack with his belt in it.
But
he doesn't even wear it.
That's the gimmick.
Right.
That's the gimmick. Everybody has seen that video of the station wagon with the wood paneling rolling up to the fucking drag strip. Just like putting up to the line. People are like laughing their ass off, while the Camaro with the V16 double overhead cams it's just fucking like glugging. Like, it's drinking gas sitting next to it. And you know this thing's going to tear this poor little station wagon, this 1986 station wagon with
like
the wood paneling.
It's like when Shibata fought Orange Cassidy.
And it's just, you're like, glug, glug, and then the light goes green. And that shitty little station wagon literally de-asphalts the ground and is down that quarter mile in a time that is just mind-blowing. And that's exactly what Orange Cassidy is.
He's the underdog.
Is you look at him and you go,
him.
what is this garbage?
Yeah.
Who are you showing me?
Exactly.
And then at the end of the match, and this match was one of those, you're like, holy shit, how have I been doubting this man this entire time?
And I really like that John played into the character a lot, and at the end of the match, even after he won, the camera like zoomed in on him, and he was like, fuck, and he was like shrugging it off, like, damn, like,
It wasn't a.
It rocked Moxley.
Yeah, it wasn't a like, oh, I just won. It was like I had a hard time winning that.
Yeah, like I barely scrapped by to win that belt.
And John Moxley is usually the first one to be split open, and Orange Cassidy got split after he hit his head on the ring post. And my God, the gushing amount of blood. And it was like probably about a third of the way through the match. So for the rest of the match, it just got progressively more and more bloody. But it wasn't a gory amount of blood. It was just, God, it was so good.
It sold into the story of how much he had to work to get through that match, even though he wasn't victorious. And he ended up facing John and winning that belt back, which is great for the story of Orange Cassidy, but
this match was
so pivotal.
The best way to end this man's reign, a legendary reign, went 326 days. He had, I think, I don't have the stats up here, but I think it was like 30 something defenses. I mean, either way, it was a hell of a lot more than Roman Reigns. So stand aside, Tribal Chief. Again, Orange Cassidy, best title reign this entire year, short of Eddie Kingston, probably. Watch this match. Don't watch this match. I don't care. Orange Cassidy, John Moxley at All Out. Amazing performance. I don't know. One of my favorite matches.
If you're not sold on Orange Cassidy, that's the one to watch.
Yeah, 100%. And if that doesn't sell you, you will never ever enjoy anything because you just don't have an imagination and you don't know what fun is. We do have a couple of honorable mentions.
Yes.
Again, that we're already at over an hour, and we don't want to completely fill the airwaves. We could sit here for 2-3 hours and talk, but we don't really want to do it. I have to go to the gym. I think we have to go to bed soon.
Yeah, it's almost Christmas.
I think one of the kids just jumped out of the window.
No.
I'll let you go first with yours.
Okay, real quick, I'm just going to run over them.
Run them over. Just run them right over.
We talked about WrestleMania 39, night one, pivotal match for me, KO and Sammy versus the Usos.
Great
We're
match.
starting to think that the Usos were never going to lose those belts. So
right.
Really enjoyed that. Willow and Athena at Death Before Dishonor at the ROH pay-per-view. Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay. Just the rivalry in general. Looking forward to seeing a little bit more of that here in 2024, thanks to Will Ospreay being signed. But they had just absolutely amazing matches. Forbidden Door, but really Wrestle Kingdom was my jam. That entrance by Kenny Omega was just, wow, chef's kiss. Also, Kenny Omega, John Moxley, steel cage match on Dynamite. That was from
I had that one written down,
May
but I erased it just
10th.
to shorten it.
I absolutely love that. Everything with Don Callis was really
that was the one where Kenny
that.
Omega got caught in the fencing, and it looked like he was about to snap his leg, and he was like, "Nope, I'm good."
Don Callis betrayed him with the screwdriver. I feel like that
God.
was just so important. But again, last but not least, honorable mention. It would not be fair for me to talk about all these matches, but not say something about Swerve and Hangman. Again, their rivalry, absolutely amazing.
Yep.
But that Texas Death match that they had at Full Gear, one of my absolute favorite matches of the year.
None of these are all the Kenny Omega matches. I feel like this entire year,
I know.
It could have been every single one of them could be a top
Will Ospreay
top
too.
10, if not top 5. Yeah, Will Ospreay, and you could go to NJPW, you go Impact, you go. There's 1,000 different promotions that you could get at all these matches. These were just kind of the biggest ones that are most well known. So none of these are like worse or better than anything else. Mine, I had Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania 39 when Rhea Ripley won the championship. I thought that the entire match was great. I was actually very surprised that Charlotte dropped the title at the time to Rhea Ripley. So that one I loved. Roman versus Sami Zayn at the Elimination Chamber. I know that it didn't go the way that everybody wanted it to with Sammy losing, but I thought it was one of the matches in recent history that Roman Reigns, it felt like his championship was really in danger.
It did.
And it really felt like it was a pivotal. I mean, it was a pivotal moment in the Bloodline story with Sami Zayn because it was the final straw that, Sami Zayn's done with the Bloodline. He tried taking the Tribal Chief's position.
Right. He's in his hometown. It just felt
right. Right. And it was the catalyst for his face turn. And then my personal favorite, just because of the events of what happened, Edge versus Finn Balor. It was a Hell in a Cell match I think it was at WrestleMania. Yeah, it was WrestleMania 39 when Finn got his head split open by a ladder, and they had to off camera staple his head together
Props
in
to
order
him.
for the because they were to stop the match, and Finn was like, "No, stall." Stapled him closed enough to where he was able to continue and finish the match. Like, it just, not that I didn't think Finn was a good performer, but it just made my respect level for him to go up.
Agreed.
And then they had an absolute great match.
Yep.
Like, it wasn't like it was like,
The story
okay,
was so important.
it wasn't like the injury was what the best part of it was, and they had a good match. They had a great match afterwards. Also, again, MJF and Bryan Danielson in the 60-minute Iron Man match at Revolution. All of Orange Cassidy's run, Danielson, Zack Sabre Jr., and then, of course, for me personally, just recently at Final Battle, Athena and Billy Starks.
Loved it.
For the ROH Women's title.
Yeah.
Listen to our last episode for the gush. I'm not going to waste anybody's more time than I already have. All I have to say was it's great to see we have some tried and true talent that deserves a bigger push and do a bigger promotion on maybe television, and also seeing a young talent like Billy Starks get put into a spotlight in the main event of a pay-per-view that is considered one of their top pay-per-views of the year.
That is so huge. And it's not fair to talk about, all these champions, like we said, these workhorses.
It was a really good goddamn match. Like, before you say such a good match. Go ahead.
It really was. Talk about all these workhorses and talk about these amazing champions. Athena is such an incredible women's champion in ROH. She's undefeatable, indestructible, is doing such a good job, of building up this younger generation of talent, because she has so many years. I think she has like 18 years of experience wrestling. Like, she has so much to bring to the table. When she gets up to the AEW roster again and starts fighting there again and loses this belt, the women's roster is in a lot of trouble.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of trouble.
Thunder Rosa just came back, but I don't know if she can hold a candle to Athena right now.
I really don't know if anybody can, honestly. She's so
especially
hard-hitting.
heel Athena? Heel Athena?
Oh, God. I know.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that'll be the final episode of 2023.
Oh, my God.
This will be coming out on Christmas morning. So,
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. I know Hanukkah is in effect. I'm not too up to date with my other holidays, so Kwanzaa, if you have started, ended, or have yet to begin, happy
you don't
Kwanzaa.
Celebrate,
if you don't
thank
celebrate,
you for listening.
Thank you for listening. Even if you hate all of it, that's
fine.
I'm sorry, but it's my greetings towards you for whatever.
Yes.
I hope you have a great Monday. I hope that you enjoy the idea that you should have the day off.
Yeah, and I hope you know that we appreciate you so much for listening.
This week, there's not going to be much for wrestling. I know WWE is doing a couple of best ofs. I'm sure AEW will be somewhere around that same. Or Tony Khan's an absolute psycho. He might just have everybody do what they normally do. But either way, make sure you follow us on all social media platforms at CAW Wrestling Pod, where we talk about Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite. Just tweet at us. You never know when we're on. Make sure you follow me on my personal X at Gunk Dudley. You can follow Jamie at her personal X at a bacon party?
Yeah.
A bacon party.
A bacon party.
Still haven't figured out what a bacon party is. Fresh episodes of Coffee and Wrestling every Monday morning at 4 a.m. so it is up and ready for you when you get up. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you have a wonderful holiday. Stay safe out there. People are absolute psychos. We love you.
Bye, friends.
Bye.